evening, everybody. DadmanWalking55 coming to you from the east coast of the U.S. right at 1 minute after 8. Hey, well, you'll be talking to one of my guests in just a second about how we were talking earlier today, how much college football had sucked the last 2 weeks. But hey, well, all hell broke loose in college football today. So we will get into that in just a moment. Let me go ahead and bring that guy in, the great JT Kirk. Yes, we didn't stream last week because the football action sucked so bad. Mm-hmm. And today we were bashing the whole day, and then
we were. I was so jaded in those text messages. You were like, do you still want to do a show? I'm like, oh yeah, we'll still do a show. It's not our fault that these games are, bad matchups and kind of boring, and probably don't get them on your home network without paying for 20 other stream services and, this, that, and the other. But, hey, it's a whole season of football, and some weeks you get what you get, right?
Well, you did get to enjoy your team for once last night on
on broadcast television. Yeah, it just 9:00 at night to the number 6 team when you're unranked. It's like,
yeah,
I'm not even gonna bother turning that thing on because we already know the outcome.
Dude, I tell you what, you got my head coach from Oregon State. I'm mad about that, but you got the quarterback he brought in there last year. Good riddance. The guy can't throw anyway, but hey.
The one we got rid of can't either. So, hey, there you go.
Well, he throws it to he can. He throws it to the other team. Just ask our friend B from O down here. Hey, go Commodores! And we will be on that in just a second. While we do this, let me go ahead and we're going to take a look at the top 25 real quick before we get into our first game of the night. Let me see here with this. Get the right screen up. And then let's go around through the chat. Snort a Poopas Cuber. Hello, humans, other critters. Good to see you tonight, Snort a Poopas. Let's see. I'm down in so many there. Tim, hey, Alabama goes down. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Bama. Yes, exactly. Tonight we will definitely talk about it. B from O saying, go Commodores. Yes, we got that tonight. The missus is here saying hello to everybody. Agent Atwood, hello. Your Georgia Bulldogs have rebounded today. We will take a look. And yes, good evening to the wonderful and classy Mrs. Dadman Walking. Don't forget, hit like, hit share, subscribe. We are down to 666 again. We got back to that evil number, but we will get up. And we will thrive, and we will go forward and progress. So please make sure you hit like and subscribe. Currently in top 25 games live now with 11 minutes in the second quarter. FSU is trailing at home to Clemson 17-6 with a PAT pending. Boise State, 21st ranked, leads Utah State 21-10 with 13 left in the second quarter. Good old Rocky Top is trailing in Arkansas. The Pigs have a 3-0 lead. 5:47 left in the first half. And hey, Miss Washington is playing a rematch of last year's national championship game. They are leading Michigan 7-0 in Washington. Pullman. No, Pullman's Washington State.
Go Huskies.
Yeah, go Huskies. Scoreless in the Big Ten matchup, which is so odd having a Pac-10 and a Pac-10 and a Big Ten team. USC is scoreless at Minnesota. Baylor leads at number 16, Iowa State 7-0 in the first quarter. Later tonight, 10:30, the Miami Hurricanes are at the Cal Golden Bears. Another, how the hell is this an Atlantic Coast game? But hey, all right. With that, they are? Okay, thank you. I appreciate that because I don't know. I still, anyway, we're going to talk about that game in a little bit. But in action, I'm skipping a game first. Number 3, Ohio State crushes Iowa 35-7. Iowa scored a gratuitous touchdown. Georgia takes care of Auburn 31-13. Penn State beats UCLA 27-11. Texas A&M bashes the hell out of Missouri down at Kyle Field. Snort Poopas' old stomping grounds, 41-10. Ole Miss dominated South Carolina 27-3. SMU, Southern Methodist, upsets 22 Louisville on the road 34-27. And Indiana, JT, 6-0, ranked 23rd, wins at Northwestern 41-24. We will hit that game in a little bit later. Yay, and thank you for that. Yay, all right. But see, this is the game tonight. I'll talk about that. What are my thoughts on UCF? in a little bit, in Florida a little bit. But
now, I did want to say I got really darn close on that Ohio State game. I said it was going to be 38-7, and they had to let me down.
Yeah, what I mean, it's like, no field goal, But hey, but hey, folks, the game of the day, the game that has made the last 2 weeks in college football. After beating the living snot out of Georgia 30-7 in the first half last week, Alabama held on to win the game over Georgia last week. But Alabama, the Crimson Tide, go into Nashville and lose to the Vanderbilt Commodores 40-35. Folks, this is the game. You kept waiting for Vanderbilt to choke like they always do. They always choke. They didn't this time. They somehow survived. Alabama now how far will they fall? 4-1 in the conference. The Alabama defense has gone in the toilet, truly the toilets since the second half of the Georgia game. But hey, you don't want to hear it from me. Anchor down, small town Republic. Yes, your team, I'm like the Gators. My teams may suck, they may lose, but hey, if Bama goes down, I'm happy. If Georgia goes down, I'm happy. But good to see you, small town Republic. We're going to talk about yours in a bit, but hey, this lady is a Vanderbilt fan secretly, but she always cheers for Vanderbilt for so many years, only to be brokenhearted. All we need is Nighthawk here, and we'll have the two real Vanderbilt fans. Folks, I really need to do a live stream with Mrs. watching a football game, because I tell you, it's a joy to watch her because of her passion. You don't hear passion. If you love her her morning shows, but hey, that's a great Mrs. Dadman Walking coming in.
Yay! I changed the little ticker thing.
Yay! There you go.
And sorry, I did put up in chat there on accident through my phone. Google keyboard. Yeah, I pulled that down. That was a spell check correction. There you go. There you go. I was like, what?
Oh, no. Come on. Oh, did you see that?
Yeah. It was
a boo-boo. That was a boo-boo. You want me to delete that comment?
I did.
No, you did. Okay, good. Okay.
Well, most seasons, that's true. That is applicable. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Down.
Anchor down.
I usually watch in most football games like the last 10 minutes of a game, maybe 5, because I can't stand it.
I've been updating you since early in the game.
So he was updating me, so I kind of knew what was going on, but I was afraid to watch it that they would screw up. So I was cooking my dinner or cleaning the dishes I had just cooked. And he says, you might want to come in and watch the end of this game. And I'm like, okay. So I came in and I'm watching it, and I don't remember what the score was, but they, what was it? They were up by,
let's see. They were up 33-28 at that point.
Yeah, 33-28, and I watched it right before then they made the touchdown, and I was like, ah! I screamed really loud, and then they got the Alabama got the ball back, and I'm like, I can't watch. I'm going to be sick. And I really was. I said, I can't watch it. So I left the room, but I kind of stood by the door and I peeked in and was watching, but I just couldn't be in the same room because I was so nervous that they were going to screw it up, and then Alabama got a touchdown, and I was like, okay, it's okay, and I'm like, it'll be fine. I said, oh, I just hope Alabama doesn't do an onside kick and they don't get it because they could lose it, and I don't want the quarterback to fumble the ball. It's just, there were so many things that could happen. I just knew that they were going to lose because they always lose, and it makes me sad. And so I'm sitting there, I'm watching it, and then something happens. I was like, I gotta leave. So I left the room, and I'm like peeking in through the door. Literally, I'm peeking in, watching it, and I'm like, I can't. So I'd come back in, and then when they finally, won, I'm like screaming. I'm like really loud. I was really, really happy. And I actually had tears in my eyes, which is really stupid because I really have nothing invested in this team. I didn't go to the school. I'm not from their home state. I'm not anything. I always cheered for them. And whenever we did family football picks, I always picked Vandy, no matter who they were playing against, even if it was like the number one team, because I always wanted them to win because I felt so for them because they were just a small little school, and I wanted them to win, and this time they did, and it made me really happy.
It
Go
was
Commodores! If I was
great.
there, I would have helped them pull down the goalposts.
It was just really great to finally see them hold on for the win, because I think Bama's coaching kind of messed up at the end with the way they used their timeouts before the 2-minute warning. I was telling the missus because I thought they could have gotten the ball back with more time, but then again, it was all irrelevant because Vanderbilt this time, you kept waiting. The first play after Alabama,
I was waiting for a
40-35.
fumble. I was waiting for an interception.
Yeah.
I was,
well, you saw the first. Yeah, you saw the first play was a 2-yard loss after the Bama touchdown, and Bama called a quick timeout. Then they did a QB waggle, which Bama could not.
But you know what? Know what the announcer said? They said that the Vanderbilt coach does a play like that the first play to kind of read the defense, and then he'll do a second play kind of after he kind of sees what maybe they're thinking.
Yep. And Bama never got the ball. Give Vanderbilt credit, the play calling, and then they busted some regular running plays for first down. So, they were able to hold on to the ball. Let's look at the recap the game real quick. The game went.
I just want to say it's really neat that the quarterback, he had 70 family members there, and then and they won, and I think that was just really cool too.
Well, the thing is, he comes from New Mexico, state of New Mexico, and they talked about a story where he wasn't recruited. Even New Mexico, as bad as football is in New Mexico, nobody wanted him there. He finally got a chance in New Mexico State, and he actually transferred over there this year to Vanderbilt as a senior transfer. Coaching staff left New Mexico State, came into Clark Lee at Vanderbilt, and they brought him all over. And, it's just – shame for Vanderbilt. You only got a quarterback for 1 year. That's one problem. But you know what? Enjoy it while it lasts with this game, because really Vanderbilt got off the 13-0 lead thanks to an early touchdown run and a 29-yard interception return of a Jalen Milroy pass on the play to take a 13-0 lead. The PAT failed. Then Alabama comes back, scores a touchdown, and Bama scores at the end of the half, goes down 23-14 at halftime. Then we have the second quarter. You see Alabama coming back. 2 touchdowns.
Did Alabama ever take the lead in this game?
Alabama never led in this game.
Never led in that game. That's what I thought.
Never led in this game.
Oh, boo-hoo.
No.
Oh, boo-hoo.
The closest they got was 30-28 in the fourth quarter with a 58-yard pass from Jalen Monroe. Well, you kept seeing Vanderbilt getting victimized on the long bombs in this game, but they were able to hold off. But like I said, the most effective play they had was a quarterback waggle, a dump off to the tight end, and just Bama couldn't stop it. It's how they got their last touchdown. That's how they converted that first down, the first down on the time-consuming game-winning drive. It's just Bama. By the way, gave up 40 points today, and last week I believe they gave up. Let me see what last week's score was against Georgia. Let's see. So they gave up 40 today, and let's see, 34 last week. So in 6 2, 4, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's see. I can't even think now. 6 quarters of football, they've given up 74 points. Yes.
Jeez.
So as dominating as they were on Georgia, shutting Georgia down to 7 points, dominating last week so much, this Alabama defense has gone into hibernation. I mean, they're sleeping harder than Snorapoopas does on an app. Butts to Stunning. Hey, Stunning, good to see you tonight. How are you, sir?
Stunning.
Good to see you. Yes, that's how bad and this is a Vanderbilt team that really they finally have a quarterback. They have an offensive production. They had no wide receivers back from last year. That actually they had been rated by other teams, and now they pulled a 3-2 for Vanderbilt. It's a story of, well, why did we lose to Georgia State? If you wouldn't have lost to a garbage team like that, you'd be 4-1 right now. But hey, maybe the couple people that voted for Vanderbilt to win the SEC knew what they were talking about this year. Oh my gosh, JT, did you get to see any of this game?
No, I did not.
Well,
unfortunately,
this is how dominating it was in Mrs. Vanderbilt had 418 yards of offense. Alabama 394. That sounds even, right? Alabama had 2 turnovers, one which was a pick 6. Okay, Vanderbilt had no turnovers, which is what you need in a game like this. 17 first downs for Alabama, 26 for Vanderbilt. But, according to Stunning, big butts. It's the one case where time of possession actually helped. Alabama only had the ball for 17 minutes, 52 seconds in this game. Vanderbilt had the ball for 42 minutes and 8 seconds.
Oh my God.
You only think that it's only about 32. Let's see, say about 24 yards difference in total offense. But the running and the passing, when you look at the stats, you can see why that is. Vanderbilt ran the ball for 166 yards, about 3 yards a carry, 54 rushes. 20 were by the quarterback for 56 yards. Cedric Alexander, running back, had 21 carries for 64 yards and 2 touchdowns. But Diego Pavia, who the missus was talking about, was 16 of 20. That will keep the clock running also. 252 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. I'm like, dude, this was just such a dominating performance by Vanderbilt. Give Alabama credit. Jalen Monroe was efficient, 18 of 25, 310 yards, a touchdown and a pick, still scored 35 points. But really the big question is, what happened to Alabama's defense since last week?
They had a little temper tantrum at the end of the show. At the end of the game is what they did.
Oh, yeah, that was funny. If you want to describe it, Mrs., you can.
Well, before the play even started, number 13 on Alabama, I don't even know his name. I was through something. I don't know what it was. But after the play, he was a little upset. And so he kicked the ball. And so they got a unsportsmanlike conduct call on them because he just, poor little thing couldn't stand losing to Vanderbilt. Oh, poor little babies.
Yeah. Well, that's like a friend of mine a couple of years ago was said they loved the clip with Nick Saban having a meltdown on the sideline. So it was kind of like that, but a player on the field. Actually, Milroe is responsible for.
Oh, it was turnovers. A mouthpiece through his mouthpiece on the field.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of like the Florida Gators Wilson guy years ago that freaking threw a damn LSU player's shoe 40 yards down.
But he didn't get the unsportsmanlike for that.
Yeah, he did.
It was for this one. He got it for kicking the football.
Oh yeah. All right, Atwood, you don't have to fight for yourself. You got 2 Auburn fans out here tonight, so they'll fight you even though you won. But with this, Milroe, not only the pick 6, but he also committed a fumble, and it wasn't so much his fault. Bama was driving the ball just across midfield, and give credit to Vanderbilt. Sacked, hit, just punished him, and he fumbled the ball. Vanderbilt come up with the turnover and scored on that drive. So, it's just a lot of things like that work together to basically, for once, Vanderbilt. Mrs., how many times you've seen Vanderbilt over the years and always would choke and stuff like this, right?
I don't know if I've ever seen them win a game that I've watched.
Right.
And I just, when I heard this game, I'm just like, oh, I was so sad because I knew they were just going to get demolished, and they didn't. And I'm proud of them.
Well, because of course, 2 years ago when they beat Florida, I refused to watch the game. So I was like, I gave up on that game, quit watching it. But yeah, that actually in the last 3 years, is it 3 or 4 years? It's probably 3 because it happened, I thought, under Napier, maybe, or was it the assistant coach? They beat Florida and Kentucky in one year. I think it was 2 years ago because they beat Florida and Kentucky one year, went winless in the SEC, and then now beating Alabama. I mean, and they just think this team is very close to being a 5-0 Vanderbilt team. And if they win a game in overtime against Missouri and that Georgia State game. Yeah, Mrs.
Do you think they'll be on the polls this year, at least at the
even
bottom?
with 2 losses, if they're not the Georgia State loss is the only thing that was keeping them out of the top 25, I believe. I mean, I don't see how you don't rank them. Now, their defense is shoddy a bit still, but they have a legitimate SEC offense, and that's what they've been lacking to be competitive in the league.
I think there's some of them that have just entered the polls that have done not as great as beating the number 1 team when you're unranked. We'll leave it at that.
So I guess with stats, further statistical analysis out of this one. Yeah, Bama started off, according to ESPN Analytics, 87.9% chance to win the game.
I think that's even low. Like, that's a conservative number, too.
I was going to say only that. I mean, I would have had it at least a 90. At least a 9 in there at the beginning.
Well, that's what they had. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Looking back at this, I would have thought so. I'm like there's one YouTuber out there that I really like because he actually been saying what I've said about Napier being fired from Florida in the first year. He actually made a promise to his chat that, there's no way Vanderbilt would ever beat Bama, and if they did, he would do whatever their most liked comment was in the chat. So it's like, I'm going to be watching to see the honors it this week. Don't make, like my dad said, don't make promises your body can't cash. Or like the missus said, I'll go on that roller coaster with you if you can guarantee me it will not stop upside down. Nope.
Can't do it.
Would not do it. Nope.
Yeah, gotta do it.
Well, Mrs.
But anyway, I was happy that they won. I was happy that they won. And I was happy that Georgia won because Georgia is my kids' school, and I will always cheer for them, even if they play against Florida. Sorry, Dad, ma'am.
Why? Oh, they did rip the goalpost down. Yes, they did rip the goalpost down, and they not only did they storm the field, they'll be subject to the SEC fine. But they did get the goalpost down. Yay.
I think I know that you say you can't make exceptions, but my goodness gracious, it was their own field, and golly gee, they beat number 1.
Hey, listen, when Tennessee,
I hope some nice person pays for the fine for them.
Well, listen, I tell you, the administration, AD&M at Tennessee did not care a couple years ago when they finally beat Alabama at Rocky Top. They actually bragged, even the athletic director bragged about it, and that they marched the goalpost out of the stadium and threw it in the bottom of the Tennessee River.
Nice.
So
very nice.
All right, Mrs., did you have any other final thoughts or say? Do you want to hang around a little bit more, talk about Georgia, or you?
I didn't really watch any of the Georgia game, so I have no. What is it? I have no pony in this race. I don't know anything to talk about them except that they did win, right? Yeah, I'm glad they won.
Nope.
So that's about all I have to say there. Sorry about that.
All right. So, all right. Well, hey, it goes down to kicking.
You go. I'll give you back.
Vanderbilt made 2 field goals in this game that's helped, but missed an extra point. Yes, Mrs. Thank you for joining us tonight.
You are welcome. And
would you like to?
Vanderbilt!
Would you like to talk about your channel though?
Okay, sorry. I will. Yes. Monday at 10 a.m. It'll be Monday through Friday. I do a morning musings with Mrs. Dadman Walking. We have puzzles, celebrations, birthdays, and memes. It's just a time for some positivity before you go to work or during your lunch break, or if it's your evening, wherever you are. And on Tuesday, I believe this Monday is this Monday? What's the date? The 7th, it is Mom Days. So at 6 p.m., I will be hanging out with my youngest Ang, and we will be doing something. We might do Lego Fortnite. We might find another game to do, but it is 6 p.m. Mom Days that I do with my youngest. Tuesday at 1 p.m., I'll be building a mini building block Peregrine Falcon. And on Thursdays at 5 p.m., I putter around in Lego Fortnite. Those are my scheduled streams. I could stream playing a game at any time or a build at any time. But that is what I have planned and scheduled for next week.
Very cool.
Yep. Well, thank you, Mrs.
You're welcome. And thank you, everybody. And yay, Vanderbilt! Woo! Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya. Wouldn't want to be a Bama fan now. Sorry. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right.
How about Unroll Tide?
Yeah, Unroll Tide.
All right. Well, hey, there she is. Yes. Listen, y'all have not even seen her in real life watching hockey in a stadium.
Boy.
Oh man, our arena football. I'm telling you, what you heard there is only a sample of what I heard earlier. And I tell you, when especially bad officiating or somebody trash talks, somebody kind of made a comment about one of our kids years ago at a hockey match. I just had to keep the missus from going after her. It was like almost a hockey fight in the stands. But hey,
well, yeah, well, hey, that wouldn't be the first time that's ever happened.
Well, let's go get caught up on the current scores
Yes.
now, because Florida still sucks, because I just watched them. They're going to have to punt to UCF because the great clap off offensive Billy freaking Napier. I mean, come on, man. Threw a 3rd and 8 and threw a 2-yard. Anyway, it wasn't even 2 yards.
Well, you know what you're going to have to do instead of clap on, clap off? It's going to have to be a different 90s commercial, and it's going to be a help I've fallen and I can't get up offense here pretty soon.
Very soon. I mean, they got a touchdown. Who knows? Maybe this is a gift touchdown. But in current live games going on, Clemson, 15 ranked, is in Tallahassee. They lead 17-7 over the Florida State Seminoles, approaching the 2-minute mark in the first half. 35-17. Boise State, number 21, is up on Utah State late in the second quarter. Moving 12 minutes into the second quarter, left in the second quarter, Arkansas 3. 4th-ranked Tennessee 0. Still, Taylor Green is 7 of 8. We're going to look at the stats on this game in a minute when we come back to it. A game of interest to JT Kurt. Washington up 14-0 on number 10 Michigan.
Yeah,
in Washington.
Yeah.
So hey, still with 9 minutes left to go in the second quarter. So that one is not over.
You know, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. Of course, Minnesota has taken a 3-0 lead over USC, the Southern California.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Well, that would be interesting to see how the mighty have fallen. And then Baylor, our friend Whoopa Troopa. Baylor leads Iowa State 14-3. That's a potential upset alert. 4-0 Iowa ranked 16th at home in Ames, trailing. And then, of course, the last game involving top 25 teams, Miami, 8th ranked, is at Cal. 5-0 Miami is at 3-1 Cal. And we the earlier games that we recapped, Vanderbilt upsets number 1 Florida. And honestly, JT, I'll be honest. They were saying upset of the year. I don't look at. I think this is the upset of this is like a decade or a generational upset. To me, this is on the level of App State winning at Michigan.
Yeah, I was going to say this is probably the upset of the decade, but maybe it's not, because if Vandy can keep any of this momentum, I mean, they could be at the top of the SEC in 3 weeks from now.
And they lost.
All these other teams are getting upset and losing and all this stuff. They
lost a close game at Missouri. They lost a very close game in overtime at Missouri. They could actually be 5-0. This team legitimately could be 5-0. Should be 4-1. Inexcusable to lose to Georgia State. But that's the problem with this team, is the defense of it all times. It's stunning. Yeah, I know you have. You wouldn't be a great hockey player without a few fights.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Iowa State does almost make JT perfect, 35-7 over Iowa. Georgia defeats Auburn 31-13 in Athens. With that, Penn State wins at UCLA. Host UCLA wins 27-11. First matchup since 1968 between the two teams. Texas A&M trounces Missouri 41-10. So Ole Miss beats South Carolina 27-3. SMU upsets South Carolina, Louisville, 22nd ranked, 34-27, and of course Indiana, 41-24. Let me take a quick look. And last night's action, number 6 Oregon defeats Michigan State 31-10. What did you think with that game, JT?
Well, it was the first one I finally had a chance to watch, but because it's 9:00 at night on a Friday, I'm not doing that. I'm just not doing that. Friday is for high school games, so stop putting them there. And I also tell you, this is going to come back on some of these other games. You get these eastern side of your conference people in the eastern time zone, the correct time zone, as I like to say, and you fly them out there to California, West Coast type stuff. This never works well. And it doesn't even work well in the NFL. The Lions especially have a history of just like a ridiculously bad win-loss percentage.
I think most
flying
teams
all the way out there.
Most teams do. Most East Coast teams do. Yeah.
So I think what you'll end up finding is there will be a correlation between which team is the home team and which team is the away on their chances of winning these after 3 or 4 years. That to the point where teams won't even want to be scheduled against the other and travel out there because it'll be such a strong difference maker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and especially this is worse in college than it is in the NFL because they're supposed to pretend to be students, and are you getting as much time to fly out there as you would in the NFL? Probably not.
Yep.
Probably not.
Nope. Looking at this game, Aiden Childs threw for 154 yards. That's a good thing. He didn't turn the ball over. That's 10 of 17, 154 yards. But the backup came in 5 of 5, 37 yards. So Michigan State threw for 191, ran for a big 59 yards, though. Oregon threw for 264 yards. Dylan Gabriel, the Oklahoma transfer, and from UCF threw for 257 yards. But as a team, Oregon ran for 213 yards, led by Jordan James for 166 yards. This game was sort of slow at first. It's like Michigan State wanted to hang around early, but they were outscored 24. They didn't score till the fourth quarter, really. And at that point,
when they're sitting their starters, and
actually, they were down 31-0, and then they got the last two scores of the game. So meaningless. And the last one was a 42-yard field goal with 25 seconds. See, why do you do that? Okay.
Why bother? Yeah.
Why bother kicking a field goal at that point of the game? I saw that today. It was in today's game, Texas A&M in Missouri. There's like 10 seconds left in the damn game, and Missouri lines up to kick a field goal. What is going on? Is this an influence of gambling in our sports now?
It very well could be.
We do not promote gambling on our channel, but these type of late game field goals, coaches would have never done that years ago. Maybe if they really wanted to get their kicker, I could see Michigan State. Okay, I would still about 25 seconds, and it was a long distance field goal. Okay, fourth and whatever. Okay, I understand. Get your field goal kicker some more. But the game with Missouri was like inside the 20-yard line. It was like,
oh, then what the hell?
Why not go for it and just?
You're in the red zone at that point. Why are you? Yeah.
I mean, if anybody saw that today, please comment your thoughts on it, because I tell you, that's. Are we now concerned about margins, point differentials? I didn't think point differentials had to do anything with playoff seedings in the new system, but it was odd.
Maybe they're worried about players getting hurt on one play. I
don't know.
Oh yeah.
Well, hey, you got anything left for your game last night, or you want to move on?
No, other than I don't think it had very good viewing attendance because people already like to do other stuff on a Friday. So,
well, and it's not just them. UNLV 25th ranked hosted Syracuse, and Syracuse goes on the road and gives UNLV their first loss of the year in overtime. What's significant about this game, this is the second game UNLV has played without their original starting quarterback for the year because he had a dispute about NIL funding and a dispute of what the college owed him, and they said they don't. So, but then again, the backup's done well. They scored 38 points in regulation. Should have won a game, but no. Syracuse, give them credit, goes on the road. Syracuse now moves out to 4-1. Could be ranked this week, I guess. And UNLV falls to 4-1. So,
yeah.
All right. So we will let me take a look at other scores around and not involving the top 25 teams and see if there's anything of interest. Because like we said, this at least we had some news to talk about today,
Yeah, it's something.
Something. Yeah, so I mean, even the top 25, even Georgia Auburn started slow, started like a good game, but then it pulled away. But go ahead, JT.
I was gonna say Tennessee is really got to get something going here, because if they don't, there's no way. Even if they win, they're staying at fourth.
Yeah. Well, if you are, that's that. They've been concerned. I know a lot of people were concerned about this game. You have Florida next week, and one of their people in the pregame show was admitting he was already looking forward to next week. And the other guy's like, you got to be careful. And they're laughing about it. They know it. You don't take anything for granted. But it was just like they're more excited about the Florida game coming up than Arkansas today. And Arkansas had started solidly, then they backed off a few games. They lost a couple in a row. So it's easy to look over game, as we call it. But yeah, but then again, you never know. Nico is a really good quarterback. He's young, he's talented. Just give him some chance. I mean, it's still an Arkansas defense. It's a matter of time before it breaks down. So, Oh my gosh, while the Gators are still stuck on a big 7 points. I'm like,
well, they just got the ball back, so maybe they'll have a chance.
Well, they're inside the 5 now. I don't know. It just bothers me. I should be more excited, but okay, you beat UCF, whoopee doo. I want to beat Texas A&M. I don't want to get embarrassed at home by Miami, Texas A&M. Next week at Rocky Top, what team will show up? It's like you show me something worth cheering for. But because I tell you what, they're going to screw around. And they're going to end up with this coach longer than they, But there have been more talk about Lane Kiffin to Florida eventually. But then again, Kiffin's got to deal with his own things. Last week, one of the things in the broadcast last week when they lost to Kentucky was he was so big on analytics, the NFL. Well, you go for 4th and whatever because percentages say that, What is your view of analytics? I mean, we talked about gambling and how it's screwing up football. We've talked about NIL and the transfer portal and how it's screwing up college athletics. But what do you think about with all this obsession of analytics, either at the pro or the college game?
Well, I think it's sometimes coaches and their staffs try to use it a little bit too much to absolve themselves of the decision-making process. And the dirty little secret is here that they're using it because a lot of these coaches I've had a number of teams that are my home teams where over the years where the coaches are terrible inside 2 minutes on knowing what to call when. And maybe that's just a base skill type thing, or it's a preparation deal. But I think that if they just say, we use this analytics approach to try to gain an edge, what it really is saying is we don't want to make a decision. So we're going to have the statistician make the decision for us. There are, I think, good applications for it, but you have to do them very narrowly. I would not start saying, okay, 3rd and 6 with the ball on the right hash with the wind blowing against you after 7 p.m. and the other team is wearing blue jerseys. You have a 65% chance versus a 50% chance of this play over. Like, no, those are nonsense numbers. But gosh, I really vacillate on which point you would cut it off. I think it does have limited value, but I really do feel like it's been to the detriment of teams to just let the coaches do that. Right.
You're beholden to a sheet and not the flow of the game and things like that. Because I tell you what, I really did not like. I don't like this obsession of going for 2 points. The NFL, the worst thing that's happened. One of the worst things is when the NFL took the 2-point conversion, because then they changed it. I mean, first quarter, well, we're down by 8, so let's go for 2. You take the points, you put points on the board. And what it did is it slowly trickled down from the NFL to the college ranks.
Right.
Where you got these gimmick, hey, I scored a touchdown. We're going to do a trick play for 2 points instead of just kicking the single point. Or, well, it's the second quarter and we're down. We need to get up by 7. Well, guess what? 6 is pretty damn good because people miss extra points all the time. That's where I think the analytics have taken the feel out of the game, the real coaching. Like you said, to absolve yourself. Well, this is what to justify myself. No. And now don't even get me started on going for 4th down on your own side of the 50 early in the game.
Oh, early in the game, no, you don't do that. That's stupid. Sometimes I feel like these analytics matches end up feeling a little bit too much like the coaches are playing checkers instead of chess. And not to mix sports here or I don't know, endeavors. But it does feel like they're playing tactically instead of strategically on a lot of these. And the gamble is too big.
Real quick, JT, 4th and 1 for Arkansas. It could get a field goal, but they didn't do it. And they looked like
20.
Oh man, I think they mismarked him. I think they marked it. Oh, they marked him way short. But then again, here's a case that could be what happens. Why not take the 3 points? See, I think they marked him short. I think he got at least to the 19-yard line. So it'll be interesting to see if they review it. But then again, why not kick the field goal? I mean, unless you have one of those kickers that really is that bad.
But you have no faith in your defense, who's held them to no points.
Yeah,
for most of a half of football. I
know. Well, speaking of another game that happened earlier today, while we wait to see if the play stands, Boston College ends up after the great start of the season. They've lost another game. They lost to Virginia. The Iowa of the ACC, Virginia Cavaliers beat Boston College 24-14, where they score 18 points in the fourth quarter to win the game. All the points in the second half are scored. But actually, the thing is we talked about how Michigan State started out.
Yep.
Well, Virginia started out down 14-0, ended up winning 24-14, so they scored the last 24 points in the game.
Ouch.
Yes. And thank you, Mrs. Thank you for that. So they went to commercial break, so I think they're still reviewing that play. So, folks, this is kind of one of the cool things about this time slot is being able to keep up with some games live while we're doing this. Normally we talk a lot more stats, but there's some of the games have been hit and miss. I'm trying to get through the rest of the slate out there. Oh, Navy beat Air Force for you Academy people. And apparently both Navy and Air Force. Let's take a look at the stats in this game. Navy wins 34-7, but let's see how many forward passes. Wow. Holy cow. We had an air attack.
By Navy, the Air Force or the Navy?
Navy was 9 of 15 for 134 yards throwing the ball. And really? Air Force, their starter was 5 of 6 for 115 yards and a touchdown. So they had 2 other players throwing balls, but
you'd think the Air Force would be ready to defend against the air. But
it looks like an upward. These rosters look like those little kids teams where everybody gets to play. They got so many players running. It's like everybody gets playing time. It's like except the poor wide receivers. I'll shout them out. Eli Heidenreich caught 5 passes for Navy for 101 yards. There you go. You don't hear much talking about a Navy wide receiver. So, but hey, in the battle, those 2 academies, 34-7. Army also was in action today. Let me see where they did, because let's see, the Caissons go rolling along, literally in their case.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Army at Tulsa. Army crushes Tulsa 49-7.
Nice.
In this game, God. Army was 6 of 6 passing for 160 yards.
Oh, that's like a middle school setup. Oh my gosh.
Bryson Daly, the quarterback from Army, was 5 of 5 for 140 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, 28 yards per completion. Dwayne Coleman, the backup, 1 of 1 for 20 yards, but Army ran for 321 yards on the day. Daly himself also ran 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. But
I guess if you can just keep running it, then just keep running it. But wow.
Well, they had very efficient. You could say they had very efficient passing games.
Yes, they did.
They didn't throw many incompletions or picks, but they completed most of the passes. So, and they weren't like DJ Ulumi guy from FSU. You know.
I bet those running backs and halfbacks and the tight end are just sitting in ice baths, like just completely black and blue.
we had to work today. Exactly.
Well, hey, one of the other games If we might, because I did actually get to see a couple of these games. The UCLA Penn State game, Penn State walks away 27-11.
Yeah, let me bring that up real quick. If Buddy Hepburn's out there, Stanford lost to Virginia Tech 31-7 on the West Coast. So, all right, Rutgers, West Cagle, y'all lost at Nebraska 14-7. JT, how Nebraska has fallen, it continues.
Well, I've talked about that before.
But and West Virginia crushes Oklahoma State 38-14. So let's go back and take a look at the Penn State game. That's a good game to look at.
So Penn State is number 7, 5-0, 2-0 in the Big Ten going in against UCLA, who is 1-4 in the Big Ten. Now, what I did want to say about this,
0-3. They're 1-1 out of
0-3 in the Big Ten. So what I wanted to say about this was I really am getting kind of bored of watching Penn State every week in a Michigan market because we're not a Pennsylvania market. Put our damn teams from Michigan on our damn TV sets. But the whole thing about this, and I was texting you about this, was and I don't know if I told you this, but I watched like the first half. I was having trouble staying awake, and it wasn't like the room was too hot or I'd stayed up too late the night before. It was just darn dull. And the thing is, these teams so rarely ever play each other. Big Ten, Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever you want to call the Pacific Conference, Pac-2 now. Those games used to be saved for like the Rose Bowl or some like season opener, and you only do it like once every 6 years. I remember going to a game where Oregon came to play Michigan State the year we went to the national championship game. I believe that was the first one against Alabama. And that was a huge game. Oregon coming into East Lansing for that. Right now, it's like just another week in that patina of like fun and difference and excitement. It's all gone. It's already gone, at least for me anyway. And so I'm sitting here going, why are these teams in the Big Ten? Why are we playing them? What did this add to our conference? And the answer today was not much. UCLA for 11 points. Really? I mean, but it was boring. They were not a competent football team.
Nope.
They were just not a competent football team. And I tell you what, 27 by Penn State should have been 40. I do not believe they played a good game at all in the first half. And they didn't score the first quarter. And they only scored 3 points in the final quarter. So it's just, I'm really hoping that they realign the schedule a little bit so these West Coast teams aren't just sitting here getting rotated through all the time. Because
but see, they have to balance it. But they have to balance the East and West to some degree. If they had like the West and just had the West playing, and then the East just playing, it could be. Well, you know what the SEC did when they had an East-West alignment. Of course, it's not as geographically as diverse as it was.
Right.
It had 8 conference games and you so with 8 it was 14 teams, so you had 8 regular season games, so you played all 6 in your eastern or your western side, and you played 2 from the other side. If you balanced it like that, it could be understandable, but you don't want East teams having to go too much west to go too much east. But do they have enough teams to make it that way? Because there's like 20 teams in the conference. So
well, they should have gone after East Coast, Eastern time zone teams from like the ACC, or gone after like your Central Time teams. Maybe pick one up in Texas. Pick one
Florida
up.
Florida State. Nobody knows, and there's no secret they want out of the ACC. That
Iowa State. That would have been a good addition. You could have, something like that, right? It's just these. You're so far west. You're swimming in the Pacific Ocean with these teams, and it just is not giving me a good product at the end of the day, which is disappointing. And I was saying I used to get excited to watch Penn State, one, because they were so less frequently on TV, and so when they did get on your TV, you knew they were darn good. Not to say that 7 isn't darn good, but it was a treat, right? You rarely saw Wisconsin, and so when you did see Wisconsin on the TV, it was a treat to see that. Or a good Minnesota team, same thing. So the staples have always been Michigan State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and then you would end up picking up somebody else in the conference somewhere.
Well, one other thing you said to me earlier too, it breaks the tradition. That's one more tradition that's gone out of college football, because like I always talk about Major League Baseball now, National and American League should never play. This was historically the Big Ten, unless it was a contract year where there was a special game entered into, it was always, you did not see the Big Ten team or the Pac-10 team till you played in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day.
Yes. And so there was a mystique, a mystery, allure, question marks about how the game was going to go. So you were that much more interested in it because you're like, who are these teams on the West Coast? I don't pay attention to them because they're not in my conference all year.
Yeah.
So you had an unstable element that meant anybody could win. And now that's all gone.
Well, to further your point, though, this game, Penn State outgained UCLA 322 to 260, 18 first downs to 14 first downs to UCLA. That meant there was a lot of punting. Yes. UCLA had the ball for almost 33 minutes, and Penn State had it for just over 27 minutes. As we look into the box score, as you mentioned, it was 14-3 at half. Justin Martin was 22 at 30. See, this is my thing. 5.6 yards per attempt. That's why I always evaluate on yards per completion, not attempt. But still, it's like 22 completions for 167 yards. That's less. That's like 7 yards of completion. It's like all this dink and dunk crap. Yes. At least Penn State had the ball down the field a little bit more. 17 completions on 237 yards. But still, 29 rushing attempts for UCLA, 30 for Penn State. Let's see how many punts they had in this game. Only 4 punts for UCLA and 3 from Penn State.
But you bring up a good point about really poor yard gains on pass completions. Just to go back to Thursday, there was an NFL game. It was Atlanta versus Tampa Bay. That game was incredibly exciting to watch because those quarterbacks were throwing 12 yards down the field each time, 25 yards down the field.
Yeah.
A lot of the game. And it really moves the game along.
Well,
you do these little chip shots for 3-4 yards towards the sideline. Yeah, okay, you're moving up, but just run the ball. Yeah.
Shift. Yeah, like the Gator offense. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, the Lions do that, and it drives me nuts. And I guess Goff has the arm of like a 5-year-old here because where's this 35-yard pass you need to actually win the game? Oh wait, we're going to do 6-yard passes that aren't designed to get you the win. So anyway, that's
a good point. Your analogy about falling asleep was kind of like the time. I don't know if you ever heard it. Mrs. is probably the best one to describe it. When we were in Vegas one time, she got free tickets to a show, and she chose the normal Vegas review show, and it was it was so warm in there, and I kept falling asleep until the boobs came out. I'm up, down. They went away. They come out. I was awake. She's like, I had boobdar. So it's like, so I know what you mean about falling asleep.
You're a red-blooded American, right?
Well, I know what you mean. When it gets hot inside, it want to take a nap. But hey,
yeah.
Let's see. It was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 teams in a damn conference.
Yes.
In the Big Ten. It's like, and the SEC has 16. It's just, Purdue might as well. Purdue, Minnesota, Maryland might as well go to other meaningless conferences because they ain't never going to have a shot in football.
Right. And you even mathematically look that up. You play 3 or 4 paycheck teams in the beginning. So that subtracts off the top of the number of games you're going to play. Then you have your 3 traditional games every year that you play against your in-state or out-of-state rivals. Then you're looking at, okay, so I have 3-4 games left. I can play the other 15 teams in the conference. You're looking at playing these teams once every 4 or 5 years now.
I know. Where does it brings up no rivalry, nothing else. And I know there's a debate in SEC, like who does Tennessee get and stuff, all that. Are we still live?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I see we are.
Okay. All right. Because my phone, it went dead on my phone though. So So it might be just my. Okay, there it is. Okay, all right. So I like stunning. Yes, stunning. There you go. Boudar is on the around. Yes, exactly. High-powered and X band.
There you go.
But real quick, we got a big third down at about 8. At 2 minutes, I hate this 2-minute warning thing now, but Arkansas still up 3-0 on Tennessee. They'll come back with a third about 6 to 8 inside the Tennessee 30-yard line. So we'll see if they can extend the lead here very soon.
Watch them mess it up on a 4th and 2 again and not kick the field goal.
Well, they did the stupid dive handoff crap thing, so that didn't work. Well, score update at halftime now. Clemson leads FSU 23-7. Boise State is up on Utah State 49-17 at half. Of course, with 2 minutes left, Arkansas leads Tennessee 3-0. Oh, hey, let's take a look at the Michigan-Washington game. Washington now leads 14-10 with about 29 seconds left in the oh my gosh. Guess what Michigan has done?
What happened?
They have now pulled Alex Orji from the start. We had Davis Warren starting the season, who had one game. He threw 3 balls, was perfect for 3 passes that all went to the other team. Alex Orji's been benched 3 of 7 for 15 yards. Jack Tuttle, the senior transfer, I think from Indiana, who's competing for the job.
Just had a big play.
Yeah, 3 of 4 for 26 yards. They have gone to the bench again, not to the other. Oh my gosh! So it's
Washington's got it in the red zone at the Michigan 11. So with about 8 seconds left, something like that, they'll they're going to go up at least 3. There's no way you don't.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, this is Will Rogers, the quarterback for Washington. It's Will Rogers, not the poet, legionnaire guy, the famous saying guy. It's the quarterback that had played several years at Mississippi State. So, yeah.
I'd nickname him Buck, but that's just me.
Well, I tell you what, that had been a debate. How long does Michigan go with a quarterback? They do not trust to throw the football.
That's your coach that leaves for a better opportunity because he can't play to the NCAA rules method of quarterback development. They always said he was a quarterback whisperer, and what did he do every year? Basically, as soon as this portal thing opened up, we're just going to snipe another quarterback from somebody else.
Wow, Jack Tuttle has been playing in college. All this crap about Stetson Bennett a few years ago. He's been around since 2019, pre-pandemic.
Well, but maybe he didn't use a year of eligibility there.
I don't know. He's been hurt a lot. That's what happened. That's why he was expected to be the starter coming out, and then he was expected to be the starter, but then got hurt again. Yeah, he spent 4 years at Indiana before coming in last year, and then was looked to be the starter this year too. He got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So. All right. Mm-hmm. Oh my God! Wow. Well, so much for your 3 points.
Really?
Yep.
What did they do? Did they throw an interception?
Block. Yep. So.
All right.
Hey, Michigan's still now in striking distance, approaching halftime. So, but hey, Washington is unranked. They should, Michigan being a top. Let's see, are they top 10 or?
They're number 10.
10. Yeah, they should. This should be a game they should be able to win, even on the road. But okay.
All right. Speaking of a game you should win, Dadman.
Okay.
I did get the Auburn-Georgia game on TV this afternoon, and I watched probably about the last quarter and a half of that guy.
Let's take a look at that game too. Yeah, it was actually a fairly competitive game. Even though it was 14-3 at half, it was a competitive first half. So. To our Auburn fans, if you're still out there, hopefully y'all are. I'd love to hear what y'all have to say, honestly, because I tell you, I'd like to hear what Auburn fans have to say. This game was fairly well balanced, 31.5 to 28.5. Georgia time of possession up on top. Georgia had 380 yards of offense. Auburn 337, 21-18 in first downs. Georgia took a 14-3 halftime lead. Auburn comes out, scores right after half, ends up pulling within 14-10, but then Georgia pulls away. Trevor Etienne, again, another touchdown run, which is because he's being treated as a starting running back, not like how Billy Napier did with him as everybody gets to play time crap like he did at Furman and the friggin' military academies. So then, Georgia pulled up to 28-10 lead, and then ended up 31-13 in the game. Georgia really had control, but it was competitive, I will say, for the early part.
I couldn't feel like it, that last quarter and a half that I watched, that Georgia was pulling what they needed to really convince me that they're a top 5 or top 4 even team with Alabama losing, because they looked lackluster. It was 13-28. And I was sitting here thinking to myself, why is it 13-28? They're supposed to be number 5. Auburn's unranked. If rankings mean anything in the world, you should be stomping this team by at least 40 to 13 at this point. And I was like, if they don't even break 30 on this, they need to go down a slot. And they may still with Alabama losing, I doubt they'll go down a spot, but they almost deserve to, with the way that I was just watching them play this game. This game did not look pretty for them. You read the stats off. They did competently score 31 points, but watching the way that they were playing, I did not feel like the competition from Auburn was that strong, and yet they still did not run away with it.
Well, this is why I wish. I hope I didn't lose my 2 Auburn fans out there, because I'd like to know what they think. My kid says up there, Georgia says the same thing with Carson Beck. Very pedestrian. It's almost clumsy, very awkward. I mean, runs into his own man. He looks clunky, almost like he doesn't know what it's like he's getting more praise but he's really not as athletic as the numbers make him seem to be. But this is where I love to have the Auburn fans input, because Peyton Thorne, 16-27, 200 yards, statistically a good performance. Last week against Oklahoma, statistically a great performance, except for that one pick at the end that lost the game. I mean, it's like you feel for a kid like that. He can put up the numbers when they call on him to throw the ball, when they let him throw the ball downfield. We're back to dink and dunk and stuff like that. You know, I just wonder, he's a kid that I think a lot of people do not like him, even though it's one Alabama commentator, YouTuber that I've seen. But it's like he said, your future is in car salesman or insurance salesman. It's like, but the last 2 weeks, I've seen a quarterback that can throw the ball down the field consistently. By the way, I flipped over and I missed. I do not know what Arkansas did or didn't do, but they got no points.
Yeah, I missed it as well. But I don't get that on TV anyway. So unfortunately, I can't go ahead and watch that. I'm
just like, I tell you what, I had to go back and see what I missed, because I had flipped it over to the Washington-Michigan game for a second. But let's see, I'll find it in a second. But what other thoughts did you have of this game? Because Georgia, again, almost 4 yards of carry, 141 yards in the ground. Georgia's a team I think you got to force to throw the ball. Today they were able to run effectively, but if you can force them to be one pass-oriented, they don't have the receivers that they've had in recent years.
Right, and if they did, that's when you would have seen it be a runaway, like Ohio State's was, where they let their foot off the gas, or Oregon's where they let their foot off the gas. It just 7 points a quarter on an unranked team. Up until the fourth quarter, where they put that end of the game field goal up. Not good enough. Not good enough for a top 10 team against an unranked opponent. So I think they're helped by Alabama losing this game. Maybe that'll make the road somewhat easier, although Alabama will always show up for a Georgia game. I just, they don't seem as invincible as I thought they were. Watching this, not at all.
I missed field goal. That's what happened on the last drive, was missed field goal. That's the folks. I tell you what, I do like the ESPN.go.com website, because it really has GameCast, box scores, and lots of other stuff where you can find details if you need to. But yeah, this Georgia game.
Big update for your team, Dadman.
Yeah, what'd they do?
Rushing touchdown. 20-3, Florida.
Yay. I hate to sound so apathetic, but it's like If they win next week at Rocky Top, then fine. But then again, we're getting into the danger territory of how do you fire a coach if he starts winning some of these games? But then again, I think even if somehow they get lucky against Tennessee next week, which is possible from looking at what Tennessee looks like tonight, it's possible. But after that, Florida's schedule gets, Ole Miss, LSU, Georgia, maybe FSU though. Maybe the battle at Sucky, Florida at the end of the season. Yes, that would work. But
if the players show up, if they haven't already decided they would just rather not for the rest of the year.
Exactly. So I do think the long term that he's not the answer, but it's so frustrating to watch this clap on, clap off offense. It just is, it's like throw the ball downfield. Like tonight, they're beating UCF. Well, guess what? You should beat UCF. And I've always struggled watching games like this. And the paycheck games, a lot of times I won't watch them. Even when the Gators are at the top of their game.
Well, these games can save a coach or an athletic director or even a university president because the team will end up, with a 7 or 8 win season because of the paycheck games when really if they played better opponents, they would have been a 3-win team.
By the way, Tennessee just got called for a face mask by one of the offensive linemen. So they're moving for a field goal. It looks like they're going to get pushed back a bit nearing the end of the first half.
They've got time.
That's the thing is coaching to save your job or save the president's job, because who hired this guy? I think it was the current president and this athletic director. It's like and the thing is, I think before Lane Kiffin's name had come up and other coaches' names had come up, I actually had heard James Franklin name thrown in this week. And I don't know what I think of that, Penn State. Because
why would he leave Penn State?
If you have evaluated, if he wants to get back to the SEC, look at him. And
he's got a number 7 ranked team. I don't know why you would move back to the SEC unless they're going to double your money.
Probably between the money, the prestige of the league, and I know the Big Ten's a big league too, but still the thing that bothers me with him is he's just another average retread guy. He's like it's like the 4th year in a row they've started the season 5-0. They're like the only team in the nation for the last 4 years that started 5-0, but they're going to lose to Ohio State, Michigan. They're going to lose 3 games a year, guaranteed, and that's fine. And he at Vanderbilt did them to higher levels than what they ever had before, but can he win the big games? I don't think he's one of those coaches, which also I will honestly say I have that knock on Lane Kiffin. You look at him losing that game against Kentucky. It's like, really?
Yep.
And you can't beat Alabama? You can't beat Georgia yet? That would be the one thing I've got. I told you the other night, and I can't remember what it was somebody said about Lane Kiffin, actually. James Franklin and Penn State. It was like they're no threat. They're always going to be right there every year. The 2 or 3 losses when you need them to.
Probably. Yeah. It never helps that they oftentimes will play Michigan, then Ohio State the next week.
Yeah. Well, do you have any other thoughts on the Georgia game? I know Carson Beck was 23 of 29, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, statistical performance good, but at times he looked clunky, very robotic, very just not.
My only thing is I was not impressed by Georgia at all. I'm also horribly disappointed right now with Tennessee. And if Tennessee wins like 14-7 or 14-9 or whatever, I don't know which team gets to move up a spot if you can leapfrog one over the other, or if you slot another team to pass them both by. Because these are horrible games this week for both of these teams. And yes, I'm calling 31-13 a horrible game for them because it should have been at least 40 points by the offense. No fault of the defense. 13 points. I'll take that every single week.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Georgia does have one of the best defense, except for the first half against Alabama. They do have one of the best defenses. And Tennessee is going to halftime. Nico Alama-Vileva
was shameful.
8 of 10 throwing the ball, 61 yards.
That was shameful.
But see, the thing, Tennessee's only ran the ball for 15 yards on 13 carries. So Arkansas should be up big time in this game. 2 other field goal attempts, 1 miss, 1 4th down gone for. They passed up 6 points. They lost 6 points. Taylor Green's 12-18, 146 yards. They've run for 77 yards against this Tennessee defense that's been pretty stout all year. The Tennessee fans have been bragging about their defense. They've truly been bragging about how good their defense is, but the defense is holding up tonight, but statistically, though, Arkansas is moving the ball. I do not have a breakdown on the time of possession yet. Let me see if I can find that. Another game, time of possession, Arkansas, 223 yards total offense, 12 first downs. Tennessee, 76 yards total offense, 4 first downs. Arkansas has held the ball 20 minutes, 33 seconds to 9 minutes, 27 seconds for Tennessee. So, what an ugly game.
Gross.
Yeah, it's ugly. It's not one. I always love like people talk about the NBA years ago. It was like, it's a defensive struggle. They play defense. It's like, no. I know
the
defense.
NBA hasn't played defense in I don't know how many years.
No, it was just bad offense. It's just y'all suck so bad. It's just called. That's just like, yeah.
Tell us how you really feel. Yeah.
I know. It's like people made that thing as, the scores are down because they play defense. No, they didn't. They just can't shoot. No fundamentals in the game.
Did you want to talk Texas A&M, Missouri?
Not really.
Not really? Okay.
Not really, because the only thing I really want to say with Texas A&M and Missouri that I did want to say, and thanks for reminding me, that's how much I blotted that game out. This is a 31-point win. But I think that's the key thing to take away from this game is that Missouri was exposed as a fraud. First game, real game, and on the road, they weren't even in this game. Let me take a look at Missouri's schedule this year because I believe, it's a first road game. Listen to these powerhouses Missouri had. Being the 9th ranked team, hosted Murray State, went 31-0. Hosted Buffalo 38-0. They hosted Boston College, which was a tight 27-21 win. Hosted Vanderbilt, won that game 30-27 overtime. And the first road game, they didn't even show up. Lose 41-10. I mean, and Texas A&M, I tell you what, I was wrong about them. I thought they would be down against, still from the effects of Jimbo Fisher, but this Texas A&M defense looked like the old Texas A&M defenses that were really, really, really good. This team came out to play. Connor Wegman, also surprised he didn't stick with the freshman, but Wegman was back from his foot injury, 18 of 22, 276 yards.
Nice.
Didn't throw a touchdown, but had a really proficient day. And a good old Texas A&M, 236 yards on the ground, 2 running backs with at least 2 rushing touchdowns. So that does it. So, Small Time Republic. Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, Small Time, since you're still around, I don't know if you heard what I said earlier. Peyton Thorne. I thought the last 2 weeks, statistically, he's produced. He looks good on paper statistically. I thought he had the best game against Oklahoma, but then I just knew it when he threw that pick at the end of the game that gave the game to Oklahoma. Any other play, he probably would have come off a hero in the game. I know that they had the backup play 1 week who looked good, then went out and threw 4 interceptions in the game himself, and they've gone back to Peyton Thorne. But Small Time Republic, have you at least thought Peyton Thorne looked better the last couple of weeks, or is it too little too late and you truly, really want to go into the next quarterback? Because I'm curious. I really am curious to see what Auburn fans think, because I'm sitting there trying to judge. Usually we're harder on our own people, like I am my guys. But I thought Peyton Thorne did a good job at times the last couple of weeks. I think they just need more help around him. So, and so he said Thorne might be your best option for this year. Yep, I think so too, because the other guy, he played good against a weak team. And then let me take a look at Auburn's schedule real quick. We'll do that real quick, and then we'll start to wrap up.
Sure. I did have one more game real quick, or one more team.
Yeah, but thank you for bringing that. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Auburn. Wow. Now they fall to 2-4. I didn't realize that. 73-3 over Alabama A&M. Lost at home to California 21-14. Beat New Mexico. That's the one the backup came in 45-19. Then he laid a turd against Arkansas. A game they lost 24-14. At home also lost. Yeah, it's just a shame. It's like if he could put one game, if he could have the whole team show up one day, you might win a few games down the road. But yeah, it's looking like another hard year on the Plains. So, all right. So, what's the last game you wanted to?
Yeah, so it's the last game / team. Boise State coming out start the third quarter with the ball. They scored 35 points in the second quarter. They're up 49-17 on Utah State. They're currently ranked 21. Now, the only other team that they play in their schedule this year that is currently ranked is 25th UNLV, who might be moving up because they just won their game Friday night, right? So with that being said, they are going to have, if they win that game on UNLV, they're 1-1 with ranked opponents. Do they deserve to go to the college football playoff if they win that conference? And they're say like 12th, ranked number 12, something like that.
Well, but that's the system that they've given us, and probably my question last year, Liberty would have been the one. Would they have been worthy? I don't think so. But Boise State at least is one of those teams that has had some track records, had some history. But that you illustrate a good point, and I just it kind of slipped with me, is that yes, they would be a conference champion. They would be ranked in the top 25, which is what it's supposed to be. The 5 conference champions, highest ranked conference champions, they would be there. So now you wonder if there's another conference champion like Northern Illinois, if they stay ranked, or if they got ranked between the two of them, if one of them got left out, yeah. I mean, where does it stop? I want a conference. Well, your conference sucks, but
but you're a ranked 11-1 team.
Yep.
What else can you do? Right.
Yep.
That's just kind of one of those things. I would like to see them just to see somebody new go to the playoffs and maybe have a chance. But I don't know. They'll get screwed out of it. I am fully confident in that.
The system. Small town republic. Yes, we do too. We talked about the air assault by Army and Navy today. Army was 6 of 6 throwing for 140 or 150 yards, and Navy was almost as good throwing the football. And Air Force threw it a bit too. Go figure.
Go Army.
Go Army. Beat Navy. But the air attacks and the service academies. I mean, we're talking about air attacks when they throw for like 150 yards and they only complete 6 passes. Are they even only attempt 5 or 6 passes? So, but then again, I remember the days when they wouldn't even throw 2 passes, But hey. Well, let's take one more loop around at the top 25 before we break up for the night. Of course, the games currently in action are Clemson is now in the third quarter, up on Florida State 23-7. Yay! That's almost getting too sad.
What exactly how I expected it to go.
Even as a Gator fan, I'm like, this is painful. I mean, just But if we got to be bad,
you expect it to go any differently, though?
Honestly, yeah. Honestly, and maybe we can touch on this for a little bit because I thought that they would after last year, but I think it shows some of the talk has been about the dangers of this transfer portal reliance. He hit on his players last year. They had some really good players. I don't think that they're loyal to the school, but they come in, they get their playing time. They could play. They were very good players, the wide receivers, stuff like that, till they lost their quarterbacks. Now they bring DJ this year, and he wets the bed, and they're not the same type of team. They don't have those great athletes that are gelling this year. So now they're 1-4. So now you wonder, it's one of the dangers of the transfer portal. You don't have your players for 4 years. You have no loyalty, and then what happens when you have a bad free agent class? Then how far does it set you back? 1-2 years?
a lot of losses is what it's going to set them back this year anyway. Mm-hmm. I expect it to be 1-5 for Florida State at the end of the night.
Yeah, what's interesting with this is a dichotomy here. Florida State heavily reliant on transfer portal, NIL. Clemson, Dabo Swinney getting so much criticism for not embracing either one of those to the full extent. Because he old school versus new school, but the thing is that Clemson has had a lot of pressure on Dabo for not being competitive. Mm-hmm. And you sort of see in some of the matchups, they don't really seem to have the talent they used to have when compared to other teams. But an interesting game there, 23-7. Clemson leads Florida State, 12:30 left in the third quarter. JT is Boise State, 21st ranked, up 49-17. 35 in the second quarter. At halftime, the rousing, wonderful. I'm going to try to go watch that game, but it might put me to sleep. Arkansas, the Pigs lead Tennessee 3-0. Go Rocky Top.
Rocky Top.
And next Saturday, Florida goes to Knoxville. Supposedly, the game's at 7:00, which I guess puts it on ESPN. I don't understand why that's not the ABC game next week. Maybe they'll change it around, but hey, we shall see. 3-0 Tennessee. Did they look forward? Did they look ahead to Florida early? I think there's possibility with that, or maybe the first real road game with at least something competent of a defense. But can we see Arkansas's had good offense, but they can't put the ball in the end zone, and they miss field goals or they pass field goals. So we'll see what happens in the second half. See if Nico can come out and get something started. A third ball downfield, that's been a big problem the Tennessee fans have been complaining about, is they don't seem to be attacking the ball downfield like they did 2 years ago. You remember, not last year because Joe Milton was all over the place, but the year before they, with the Detroit guy, Hendon Hooker, they were throwing the ball downfield and all that stuff, and now they don't seem to be running the same type of offense. But hey, we'll see what happens with Tennessee that game next week. Of course, Washington leads Michigan 14-10 in the second half, and
Michigan has a lot of stuff, good stuff for the Huskies right now.
Yeah,
Washington
I know.
really needs to pull out a W on this one because they have W in their name, so they have to win. It wouldn't make sense to do anything else.
Yeah, I got you with that, but hey. Of course, I know you're always happy when Michigan loses too. But
yes, there are many magnets and flags and signs and bumper stickers that say my two favorite teams are Michigan State and whoever plays Michigan this week. I'm serious. They've got the
it sounds like the Florida people. So, also a game close to my heart. The Beavers are up on Colorado State 21-10 in the fourth quarter. So. Go Beavers for that. Let's see. I'm trying to take one last look at what we got over here. So let's see. I guess they still got Jack. What's his name in for Michigan? That's too funny. Nice. When I read my preseason book, that's who they had as a projected starter. That out of nowhere, the Drew Warren guy came in and then. Ole Miss LSU. Oh, that's a hated rivalry right there. When Clobber and Times and I talked about for some college football, he was almost always an NFL guy, but he did say about Louisiana, you'd think that they hated Alabama more. No, he's like Ole Miss. He said Ole Miss. The Louisiana fans just hated Mississippi, hated Ole Miss with that, and that was so it would cause problems when Archie Manning went to New Orleans. So. They had to embrace an Ole Miss rebel. So,
and hey, my Western Michigan Broncos beat Ball State 45. For all you Mid-American Conference fans
Yay. Out there. Who will start playing on Tuesday or Wednesday nights soon if they're not already.
Yeah.
Well, one day, and folks, we do hit a point of the year. There's football literally on TV every night of the week. You got Monday night football, you got Sunday night football, Monday night football, NFL, Thursday night football, but you'll have some conferences, college play Tuesday and Wednesday nights, and then, of course, Friday night game. We're going 7 days a week of football. Never did I ever think that was humanly possible or would ever happen, but it has. And the other games we got just getting started in the second half. Minnesota is tied with USC. USC at home 10-10. At halftime, Iowa State has pulled ahead of Baylor 19-14. And, of course, to be played later, 10:30, number 8, Miami is on the road at California. Earlier top 25 games. The game of the day, the biggest upset of, I think, on the App State level over Michigan is Vanderbilt upsetting Alabama with a massive upset. So hope to talk more about that later. Ohio State beats Iowa 35-7. Georgia 31-13 over Auburn. Penn State 7th ranked 27-11 over UCLA. Texas A&M 41-10 over 9th ranked Missouri. Ole Miss 12th ranked wins 27-3 at South Carolina. SMU upsets Louisville to move to 5-1 and 2-0 over the ACC 34-27. And Indiana moves to 6-0. Impressive with this team. 41-24. I hope to be talking more about them in the weeks to come. And, of course, Oregon beats Michigan State 31-10 last night, as well as UNLV gets its first loss of the year last night in overtime to Syracuse. All right. So, yes, exactly. Vanderbilt was 0-60 previously versus top 5 teams. That's why I put this on the App State level, JT, is when you look at it in context of how bad the program is historically, it's like Georgia Southern beating Florida one year or something. It's just that big. Because it wasn't like Vanderbilt beat Florida. Vanderbilt beat the team that just beat the number 1 team the week before. So anyway. All right. Any last thoughts, JT?
Let's see. Congratulations, Vandy.
Yes.
And go Washington. Go Huskies.
There you go. You heard it there. Go Huskies. Of course, next week also. No, it's a couple weeks. Michigan State. But hey, next week, Florida, Tennessee for me. We'll see what happens. We'll see how motivated I am. JT, what I would always do that week was play Rocky Top to get pissed off all week.
Right.
Now I sing it on karaoke. It's like, dadgummit, I might have worn it out. So I don't know if it'll work again.
We need it at least once a year. Least once a year.
I know. But hey, whatever you got to do, get up and hate your rivals and have fun with football. But folks, thanks for tuning in tonight. Share out the channel with everybody else. Like, subscribe, and thank you for your support. And appreciate all that y'all do. And thanks for being here tonight. And we will catch you later. Bye, y'all.
See ya.